Hello reviewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about Insta360 GO 3. So let's dive deep into it. So what is this tiny pill camera? Well, this is Go number 3, Go number 2 was the same thing, and they have upgraded the core. Basically, they took two market feedback and they fixed all of the issues. So they have bumped up the resolution little bit from 1440p to 2.7K, which is around 1.8x more. Not too much more, not 4K. And the reason why it's not 4K, because it would not make any sense. You can give 4K, you can even get 8K, but there is no point in it. As in, like, the resolving power of the lens of that scale is garbage. Resolving power of a sensor that is that tiny is garbage. Remember, Blackmagic made a 12K camera and nobody uses it? That's the same reason. It's like, just because you can have resolution does not make a difference unless you can resolve it, unless you have a lens that can resolve it. So for that reason, this is more than adequate. Now they have improved the battery size and better cooling. Now this was the biggest limitation of the last one. Of course, for the kind of shots people were getting, it was more than adequate. 1 minute, 2 minute kind of shots that were more than adequate, but it was a limitation where the video itself will stop after 10 minutes. Here they have removed the clip length limit, so there is no limitation. You can record as long as you have memory or battery. Now the heatsink was the biggest improvement that allowed this thing to happen, and because of that 2.7K resolution, they have free frame crop. What does that mean? Basically, now they can render a whole square format and they can give you horizontal video, vertical video, or a square video, all if you want, after you have shot it. Let that sink in. You shot it, then you scale to whatever you need to. Now this is a very unique way of utilizing the whole sensor, because whenever you are talking about a sensor that is like close to square or square, you are wasting way too much resolution, no matter whether you're shooting horizontal or vertical. Here it's like, what if we capture all of it and then give you the option, like, do whatever you want to do, and you still get full resolution video output out of it. So it's a really useful tool, and I'm happy for something this scale is doing it, because GoPro is the first time I heard of this sort of tech, and now it's becoming more and more common. So far it's just an improved variant of that, basically Insta360 GO 2. Now they have not only improved that, they have also improved this puppy is now this. So what does this mean? This simply means it's a large flip up touchscreen. Not only you can shoot like this, or you can do selfie mode. Both of those are supported, so that's a very good thing. And then it has wireless monitoring and control. Not only you can put the pill camera wherever you need to, as long as you are within like 3 to 5 meters range, you should be able to get a live feed out of it. You can do all the framing and all that jazz you need to, and you can control it, which settings and all that jazz you need to do. So it's a far more upgraded variant compared to where you can just see resolution, video recording or not. So it's a full-fledged action cam at this point in time. Now be mindful, it is not rated for action cam. The pill is very strong and robust, not the carrier chassis. So that is one aspect that you have to understand. Extended video recording is also available. Once you put it there, now you can record for much longer, simply because now you have access to even bigger battery. So that's there. And it also charges the camera itself, the pill camera itself. Case is water resistant. That was the biggest issue of this puppy. Was, even though the pill was waterproof, this was so vulnerable that even in rain people have this puppy dying on them. So now they have made it at least water resilient, where if it rains, if you splashes it very quickly, it should survive. Of course, not underwater rated. If you dunk it, it's on you, but much better. And this is the biggest difference between this versus the actual GoPro or even action cam of Insta360 itself. It's not as robust as you would want it to. And GoPro Go 3 can go up to 5 meters of depth. That is more than enough to cover majority of swimming pools, unless you are deep diving swimming pool. Most of the swimming pools should be fine, and you can do snorkel depth if you want to do that. So this is action pod. This should allow you to get more out of this pill camera. Could you have done that with that? Yes, using mobile phone, but that's cumbersome. Here it's far more elegant. So what about the performance? Now performance is basically, they have improved everything. Voice control now has voice control 2.0, and they have AI editing. Now you were like, how the heck AI can do editing? Well, it's AI. That's the problem with it. Sometimes it will be like, whoa. Other times it's like, what the heck? So AI is one of those things that is like, so far at this point in time, we are not there position where it's like, no, AI video editor means AI video editor. AI video editor means half of the time you're gonna get awesome results, other half of the time you're not. So if you do generic things like you're doing this and like wow and all that, it will capture it. It's like, okay, this is the point of interest, then it's gonna slice it. So But if you are doing subtle things, don't expect, do manual editing. So you see those sort of thing, it will detect, oh, this is the moment of interest, then it's gonna align it to timeline, make a video out of it. Do you need that? Most people, yes, most people do need it. That's why this company is even selling this much. And the bit rate is surprisingly poor, as in like 80 megabits per second, which is like wow low, like very low. And if they had better compression, it would have made sense, but they have H.264. I'm like, H.264 is ancient, as in like it's Blu-ray. It's not even 4K, basically back in the days we had Blu-ray. So this was H.264. Then came the bigger brother, 4K Blu-ray. That 4K Blu-ray is H.265. They don't have H.265, which is 10 years old at this point in time. Now, of course, it had licensing hassle, so nobody buys it. So they should have added AV1. But so 80 megabits, that fundamentally means it does not have the oomph to really give you a very high quality video. So that was a bit underwhelming. Now it does have inbuilt memory, so you have to be mindful about that. You cannot be like, I'm just gonna plug a big ass SD card and enjoy a long recording. Yeah, you can't do that. It can give you slow motion, which is 180, basically 1080p at 120 fps and 2.7K at 30 fps. It does not even go to 60K. Now be mindful, given the size and the constraint of the geometry itself, as in like how much thermal mass they have, how much cooling they have, this is quite good. But do not expect it to compare, even though it looks like, once you are putting there, it looks like a GoPro. It does not have even 10% of the mass of GoPro. So it does not have the oomph where it can dump that much energy and actually give you high bit rate. This was the very odd part. Now they have learned from basically customer feedback that 32 gigabyte and 64 gigabyte is not enough really. So they have 32, 64 and 128. So now you can really pay for more and actually have some useful life out of it. Dual microphone, that was another complaint of the Mark 1 variant. And they have added two modes, pre-recording and loop recording. Loop recording, if you have small one, you can keep looping it. Pre-recording, now this is interesting. This is like a buffer recording. This is exactly like how your high-speed camera works. They are always recording. When you turn it, quote unquote, arm it, it starts recording, but the recording does not go into memory, it goes into buffer. So buffer keeps looping. The moment something interesting happens, you click it. Now clicking it is basically allows you to capture past event, because past event was in buffer. So past event could be like 10 seconds, 20 seconds or whatever have you. So it's the same thing, same high speed logic here. So if you are doing something and you do not know when it's going to happen, you can go into pre-recording mode and it will allow you to capture the moment. It would be a very wise way of doing it. Loop recording, again, I can't see too much use of it, but maybe it's important. So these are the performance vectors of it. Not too awesome, but not too bad also. So what it's not, now this is a very critical aspect. You have to understand size matters. For video quality, size matters. There is a reason why we will try to build a big telescope and then even bigger telescope. There's a simple law of physics that is like, bro, you have to have huge. Heck, even in the film camera days, people used to know that you have to have a huge film for better resolution. So it's one of those things that if you have very tiny camera, yeah, you on paper you can make it 12K, 300K, whatever have you. It won't have the resolving power. So you have to take that into account. What does that mean? That simply means during broad daylight, tropical countries and all that jazz, awesome. Little bit of evening, yeah, no. Night, no. Just no. Even Insta360 themselves know that. That's why they make this 1-inch variant. So if you have to do a lot of low light shots, go that. Do not go with the spill camera. You will be sorely disappointed. It will look bad. Even your mobile phone will be able to capture better than that. So be very mindful. It is small, so fundamentally its performance is also small. Now inbuilt memory is not for everyone. Many people capture very long shots and then they just swap up the card. You can do that within GoPro and even in this, but you can't do that in the spill camera. So you have to have an ecosystem where you are dumping the basically camera's footage into your computer. That may be tedious. So it's not for everyone. On top of that, inbuilt battery. Now inbuilt battery fundamentally means the lifespan of the device is limited. For example, I have this my first point and shoot camera that I bought. This is like 10-20 years ago. Of course the battery went poof. Where did I keep the battery? So the battery went poof. Now here's the, because battery is user replaceable, I can replace this battery and get this puppy working again if I want to. You cannot do that with this. And GoPro also allows you to do the same thing. You can pull the battery out. Now you're like, is that necessary? Well, yes. Think about it this way. You buy a GoPro, you go into a vacation, you shoot everything is fine and dandy, and then you put it. Next year in the vacation, you pull it out and you're like, okay, I'm gonna shoot it. And by that time, let's say the battery got discharged too much, it's completely dead. You can buy a new one, plug it in, have at it, no problem. So that means how long you can keep this sort of equipment in your shelf, quote unquote, shelf life. It's it's very long. Of course, it does add a little bit of cost, but at least you will have something. But when you're talking about inbuilt battery, yeah, no. That's a very big hazard when you are talking about inbuilt battery. And that's why companies want to give you, like, tiny airpods, because those battery will die fundamentally quickly. So, and batteries have this inverse relationship with longevity, meaning a big cell, let's say that is 5000 milliamp hour in my mobile phone and all that, that will last much longer compared to, let's say, small cell, 3000 milliamp hour, it will die much quicker. I'm talking how many years of useful life you can get out of it. So that these two things is a fundamental limiting factor for people who are like, I'm going to place the camera, then I'm going to do the shooting. You may find this camera to be very limiting in that regard. Now you can get more camera from any other brand, even from Insta360 for that sort of preference. And this is why I wanted to show this. Like, you can see how much mass is there, as in like the material to dump heat and the sensor block. It's fundamentally huge. So it does give you much more oomph, much more quality. So it's one of those things that you have to understand. If you're going into that, except like, you're not going to get like, whoa, 2.4K of black magic. Micro Four Third will not be like comparable to this 2.4K. This 2.4K will look like a 480p webcam. That would be the quality difference because of the sensor is tiny. So be very mindful. And of course, the resilience of this chassis compared to the resilience of that puppy. So pill, very strong. The whole chassis, no. So if you really want that small size, only then you buy. What does that mean? That simply means, do you have exact use case where you're going to use this tiny? The people are like, I'm going to put it here, I'm going to do all that. That's cool and all if that's your requirement. But if that's not your requirement, you will use it 1 or 2 times, but you're never going to use it again. Because you have to understand, most people don't have life they show in the trailers and all that. Like, how many of you actually went to Bahamas and like you're surfing and this skydiving, and like how many people actually doing that, like from a large percentage of the population? As in, like, if Earth's population is, let's say, 8 billion, how many do you think it does that? Barely 2 million. So that's the reality of it. You have to be mindful of that. So if you have exact use case where you're going to use the small size, this is a good camera. If you do not have that, any other camera from any other brand may give you more quote unquote camera for your money. So be mindful, and may even give you a more robust system, more waterproof system, which you may desire over like, having tiny camera. So be mindful about that. So this was my presentation on Insta Go 3. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.